Hello Flutterlings! Today we'll be learning how to integrate API in Flutter using RiverPod. And we'll be using ChatGPT 4 to make the process less tedious. We'll be having API binded to the Flutter app using Clean Architecture, which is scalable and maintainable. All right, let's get started. First, let's open Chrome. And let's go to API Ninja's profile. You can log in. As I'm already logged in, you can see the dashboard. You will get up to 50,000 free API calls every month in a variety of APIs. Let's check out some APIs. First of all, let's copy this API key. I'll be changing it after the video has been completed. And let's go to the APIs. Okay, so there are so many APIs here. Let's get into the simple API which we can integrate for this video. Let's get into the bucket list API. All right, so it's a get API with the sample endpoint here. And this is the API endpoint, and we can just have a send request. And it's giving the item practice the Kama Sutra with a beautiful girl. Yeah, that sure is really a really good thing to do. Yes, with bucket list. Yeah. So let's see how it is. Let's see how we can integrate this API to a Flutter app. All right, so we can just duplicate it right here, and we can go back to the API screen, and let's open ChatGPT here. Okay, so before we begin, we can check out RiverPod docs, and these are the basics of RiverPod right here. Let's go into the docs, and I found this example using Clean Architecture in the third-party examples. It's called the movie app, something like that. Yeah, movie API caching app and pagination. All right, so we are not going to dive deep into this app. It's fairly complex and it won't be the basic structure. We just take the folder structure from this app right here. You'll just copy the folder structure from here, and we will ask GPT-4 to following folder structure, and the endpoint is, let's go here, and the endpoint is here, and we can just click on JavaScript. Python would do fine. I'll just copy this thing. Let API, let the ChatGPT do its magic. And the API key is, never share the API key, but we're deleting the API key after this video. Don't share your API key, not even on if it's live, don't share it. It's private. And the API key is like this. Okay, I think we have the prompt. Integrate an API in Flutter with the following folder structure. Lib for got it. The folder structure is here, and the response is like that. That's good. And the API key is good to go. Let's have a double quotes for the API key. All right, let's see. So that's our prompt. Using RiverPod, we need to get the HTTP package. All right, Flutter HTTP Flutter RiverPod. It's 1.03, but that won't be a problem. So that's the API service with that's the API service in core services HTTP folder, which is scalable. So you can have more APIs and all that stuff. All right, we have the provider scope. We have enabled the provider scope on the main run app. We have provider scope, and we have the app service, and all right, now you can consume it. Let's try this right now by creating a Flutter app. All right, now let's create the Flutter app. Let's open terminal and let's type in we have created the app. Let's wait. All right, now what we're gonna do is we are going to go into the app folder and open Visual Studio Code there. All right, we have opened Visual Studio Code. Now all we have to do is follow the steps provided in here in the ChatGPT window. Let's add two dependencies. Let's go to the pubspec.yaml file and add the two dependencies. Save it. We will be updating into the latest dependency after we get this code running. So in order to get the code running, let's use the old previous RiverPod, then we update it. All right, now we have to create the API service file, core services HTTP. All right, under lib, let's create a file called core services HTTP / HTTP service. And in this file, we'll copy it. So it's we'll be asking so we have created the API service file. Now let's copy the content to the file. We have the API key right here and the base URL right here. And we are awaiting the GET request to, with the header, we are passing the API key. And if its response is 200, we're returning the body. All right, that part is done. Let's test it real quick by creating the main function. And from here, what we can do is let us call this function called API service dot get. That's it. Let's call it, and we will get a dynamic. We have to set it into a model, but let's say var response is equal to API service.get and print response. All right, we can just run this function right now. We will open the terminal, new terminal, cd space, lib, core, services, http://. We have the API service, .run a service. It's saying it must have a main function defined. It has a main function defined, although it's not saved right now. We'll save it, run it again. It is getting run. Oh, it's getting a future, so this is dynamic. All right, so what we need to do is associate a model to it. In order to create a model, let's go into the bucket list API and let's say copy this thing, sample response, and okay, so we have to await it here. Async and awaited, save it once again, run the thing once again. So we will get the, okay, so we got the item. We got make over $1,000 for charity. We have it right here. So the API is working. In this scenario, we are creating it without a model, but we can work on it. But let's create it with a model. We can say rewrite the code with the following sample response. Assuming, okay, so it's saying that is the sample response. We have to define a model, number one. That's the model, and that's the API service. So we will be changing this thing once again. And then that's the bucket list item model. We have to bucket list repository. All right, that's the repository. It's kind of stuck. So we'll go through it. Let's wait. All right, that's it. All right, that's the changes. So now let's copy the remaining files to its respective folders, and let's have it run. We will copy the main.art file and paste it here. There's nothing much to it. It's a movie app and all that stuff that we don't want. We'll be renaming it to movie app not defined. We don't have to rename it. We will copy the files again and then we'll rename it. The API service. We can copy this file and core services HTTP. We're pasting it here. That's API service. No, we are creating a provider for it. Let's ask the GPT-4 to give the entire code with respective files. Okay, sure. It's giving the entire code. So we have the public.yaml, we have the main.dart file, we copied that, and we have the models. We haven't done that yet. So what we'll do is we will copy this from here. It's basic stuff. And what we will do is we'll create a new file, bucket list item. That's the model for the API. And we'll paste it here, save it. And we will copy the API source. We don't have to, we already did that. No, we did that but without the model. So we will copy the API service as well from here. And we go to API service right here and we'll paste it here. And we'll import the bucket list item from here and remove it from here. And that is correct. Now what we will do is we'll create an API service provider. We will copy this from here. And what we'll do is we'll create a new file, paste it here. That's the API service provider. We'll copy that, paste it here. And the next thing what we have to do is create the repository, bucket list repository. Again, copy it. This is the bucket list repository. Copy the entire code. Paste here, so we have to have the bucket list item. We can remove that, and we can say we can import it from the models, the model, and what we can have is the service API service that we can import as well. All right, that's changed. That is clear. And the next thing that we have to do is create a provider, bucket list provider. We'll copy that. Go to the new file. And we will do that right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click here. So we have the bucket list repository. We will import it. And remove this unnecessary import, which is having an error in it. I think that's it. Now let's see where we need to change things. We'll copy this code and paste it in name.file. Alright, so we did the API integration. That's it. Now we will create a, we will not import it, but what we'll do is we'll create a RiverPod API right here, and what we'll do is we'll create a stateless widget. I think we can do the same thing with the RiverPod. Create a UI for the same. With the Flutter, what we can do is we can create the UI. So we have to create a bucket list notifier, state notifier. State notifier. We'll do that. We'll copy this code from here and paste it here. And we we'll remove the wrong imports and the item. Now we have to have a bucket list provider. We have provided all that stuff. And this is the UI. We will create a UI here. And we'll paste the UI, which is a consumer bridge. And then remove the unnecessary import. We'll import this firstly. Context retrieve. Alright, there are some errors. All we have to do right now is go here. Scope reader is undefined class. Nothing to worry. Copy it. Give it to GPT. It's giving you the debug code. Yeah, that's widget ref. That's the corrected code. Copy it. We'll copy just this part. We'll paste it here. Alright, that is fixed. Alright, so that's the bucket list widget. Now let's create a report API. Stateless widget. What we're going to do is create a... Okay, now let's create a stateless widget. Instead, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to copy this. What I'm going to do is, I'm creating a mat app. Right here, I have a template. And I have it here. So for the void main, I'll cut it, and I'll paste it here. We will say my app and we'll import the provider scope. Instead of my home page, okay, you can create a my home page now. My home page. And now what we're going to do is we are going to return a scaffold with a body, center, child, and we're going to have bucket list widget. Alright, let's check out bucket list widget real quick. You just save everything. Let's check out bucket list widget. Alright, so we have a text bucket list, and at the center we have bucket list item or no item fetched error if it's not there, and then there's a floating action button to fetch the item. Alright, that looks pretty neat. Now I will walk you through the code. So from main.dart, we have a provider scope, and we created a demo app. We can change the title if we need it. That's the UI. That's the snippet that we have, mat app snippet, and then we are running in the material app. We are returning the my home, and in my home we have the scaffold, and we as a child we have the bucket list widget. And when we go into the bucket list widget, it's getting It's data from the widget ref. We're watching the widget, we're watching the provider, RiverPod provider, and from there we are getting the item or no items fetched. When we press on the floating action button, it will trigger fetch item. In fetch item, what it does is it will await the repository to get bucket list item. And the get bucket list item is here in the repository. What it does is it gets the API service to get, which is here, and it will get another item, and then it will return a bucket list item from JSON, and in the response body we get it, and we will decode the response body with the model, which is this one right here, which has a string item. All right, so we have created everything that's necessary to integrate the API, and let's now run it using an Android emulator. Let's launch it now. All right, let's launch an Android emulator. Let's see how. All right, now we'll go into main and click on debug. Now it's the first time it's getting loaded, so it might take some time. Alright, so now we have our application. It's saying no items fetched. Now let's click on the button. It's going for the API. Visit every Australian state. Yeah, the API has been binded successfully. Right, now let's create another one. Barra troop. Alright, that's how it is happening. Yeah, so write up buffing buildy. Alright, I don't want to do that. Attend Carnival in Brazil. Alright, awesome. So we have successfully integrated the API with ChatGPT 4. But there is one problem. We implemented it using the old version of RiverPod, the version 1.0.3. Now let's change it to the latest version. Let's see. First, we have to go to pub.dev and type in Flutter RiverPod and take the first and check out the version. The version is, go to installing and copy the version number. Go to pubspec.yaml file and give the version here. Save it. Let the pub.get get run. Okay, that's the problem right there. It has failed. Okay, let's see what has failed. We can see the reader has failed. Undefined class reader, it's not defined. Let's see if we have a change log. Let's search reader. The type def reader is removed. Use ref instead. All right. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna type in ref instead. There are some new errors, and we can see read, which is like this. We can type in, we can say ref here and change this to ref, and hopefully we can type in ref.read, and that's finished. It's correct here. And let's go to the bucket list provider, and we can see ref.read. We don't have to do that right here. Okay, now there are no errors. Now let's stop and restart the app. since we have changed the dependencies, let's go to main.file and let's run it. Go to the debug console to see how it is progressing. As it's loading, the Flutter app is launching, it has been created, and it has loaded. Okay, no item fetched. Let's click on it, hopefully. All right, experiment with food in the bedroom. Okay, I don't know where it is coming with all these prompts, but yeah, we have successfully implemented the API integration with Flutter using RiverPod's latest package. All right, Flutterlings, thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful day and happy coding. See you in the next tutorial.